I am Erin Patten, metaphysical master in a millennial age, and it is my life's purpose to guide you and organizations along an enlightened path. So I invite you to sit comfortably and tune in as I welcome you to the Meta Business Millennial, where we get the real conversations you won't get in the boardroom so that we understand this is exactly the path we need to be on in order to grow, evolve, and thrive. Greetings, I'm Erin Patten, also known as Master L, and welcome to the Meta Business Millennial podcast. I am so honored to be back with you all live this week and also celebrating Women's History Month. Last Friday was International Women's Day, and there were just so many beautiful posts on social media that were celebrating the woman. And so, in honor of International Women's Day, Women's History Month, this episode is dedicated to her. And not to exclude our men out there, the men out there. However, this episode specifically is speaking to the feminine energies that is coursing through all of our veins, men and women alike, man and woman alike, and how we show up in work, how we show up in our families. And I just really feel like empowered by this episode to really speak to those aspects of ourselves that we really don't talk much about, especially not in business. And so I feel like this is going to be such a gem for so many of you out there that are wanting to tap more into that feminine energy. And before we get started, for all of you all who are following this work for the podcast, definitely go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm across all social media platforms at I am Erin Patten. Also, the Meta Business Millennial has its own channel, so definitely tap into our social media work at the podcast. And if you feel called, drop a comment as I'm speaking, or share this with a friend, or DM me later. I would really love to hear from you because I'm doing this work for all of us, not just for me. So I would love to hear from you and love to have your feedback. And so as we dig into today's episode, I just want to say that there are three main things we're going to focus on that are really going to help to illuminate who the woman is for the future and what that feminine energy will bring in terms of the success stories, the wealth, all of that people are really seeking in business, that we want to see happening for our businesses and in our careers. Yet we're always on such a go mode, which is a very masculine energy, a very action oriented energy. So when we think about the woman of the future, the successful woman of the future, what three things does she have? I'm wondering if any of you out there can guess. But for one, she definitely uses her intuition. And so I really want to speak to the woman of the future. We, especially in business, are really focused on data, on the logical aspects of things, the evidence, which is very important. So I want to also not discourage you from using hard evidence, hard science, hard data. However, when we're making that final decision, whether it be about people, whether it be about processes, whether it be about things in your family, utilize your intuition. And people are like, okay, well, I feel like I'm moving with my gut, but then I don't trust it. Well, that's something that we want to start cultivating to be really successful at this, particularly in the future. Because when I talk about always like AI and technology and what separates us from technology, it's that piece right there is the intuition, the consciousness that really isn't exercised enough right now in this day and age. So the more we start to cultivate that intuition, that intuitive aspect of ourselves that can see beyond the present moment, then that's essentially what we want to tap into. And and moving into more deeply what that intuition is, it's a cultivation of our innate senses, our sixth sense, if you will. So it's like getting a funny feeling in your belly, or getting like a little twitch in your eye, or whatever it may be for you. You're just like, okay, something's off here, or something's aligned here. For me, especially when I'm moving in my intuition and something feels right in the moment, I feel safe. I honestly feel safe. I feel trust, like I can trust. And that's my intuitive sort of signal, if you will, for something being good for me or something going the right way in that moment. And, alternatively, if something doesn't feel good for me, if it gives me a pain or, a funny feeling or a bad feeling, then I'm more alert around what this is. Maybe I don't abandon it right away. However, it cautions me to start thinking more deeply about which direction am I going? Who am I listening to? What's happening? Who's all around me? And being more aware. And that essentially is that intuitive sense, that kind of that feminine energy nature that's really going to make us successful in the future. And, I really want to kind of build a little bit more on that intuition and what that feeling is. It's essentially the second piece, which is understanding how to manage and utilize our emotions. And so when we're thinking about the woman, the first thing that she's called oftentimes in business is, oh, she's a bitch, or, oh, she's so emotional, she's crying, or, there's generally negative connotations associated with emotions. And the same for the man as well. If he is in business, he's likely showing no emotion. He's likely not being vulnerable at all. He's having what's called like the poker face. And unfortunately, this is not going to bode well for us into the future. We have to be able to listen to our emotions, and not only listen to them, utilize them, be intelligent with them. It's called, the EQ, the emotional intelligence is critical for success into the future. And for me, I always speak from personal experience because I like to say that I was trained at Harvard Business School, went to Macomb School of Business undergrad, University of Texas. I went to business, magnet program at Lamar High School here in Houston. And I was trained to be a very good man, is like what I like to say. I was very, emotionless, emotionless to the point that my emotions were numbed and was just really just go, 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 action, action, action oriented. And it wasn't until I started this metaphysical journey, this spiritual journey, that I really even started to unlock the idea that I need emotions, that I have emotions, first of all. And that started in my Tai Chi training. And I know a lot of folks out here that are listening to this podcast are really into the gym, or really into yoga, or really into physical activity. And that's a beautiful place to start to unlock that emotional feeling aspect in your body, because emotions broken down is just energy in motion. And so when we're able to feel that energy moving through our body and not be numb to it, then that is the beginning of starting to tap into our emotions. And that is essentially the guidance system, if you will, for what directs us in our intuition. So we started with the intuition, of course, yet in order to get to the intuition, you have to have the emotional intelligence and the emotional capacity. And going back to sort of my own personal experience, doing the Tai Chi exercises, I was really starting to awaken, if you will, the sense of feeling in my body. And we started with just like what we call donjon tapping. So we would just tap our sacral chakra, our belly, essentially, just over and over again for so much time, just to awaken the sense of energy in our being. And I liken this to like taking a hot bath, or, going for a brisk walk or jog, is really starting to awaken that energy and that sense into your body. So when you start to feel that energy moving, when you're feeling yourself getting angry, or you're feeling yourself getting frustrated, or you're feeling yourself getting anxious, you can notice it, first of all. And that's a huge step for people in this game of consciousness, is noticing that you are feeling. And in business, I'm laughing because in business, we're taught to just be so like poker faced and not really expressive. Yet in my, work circles, where I'm just, whether it's volunteering or in my team personally, we are always open about how we're feeling. And it's expressive in our faces, it's expressive in our beings, and it comes out very, articulately in our words. And oftentimes you're noticing this in your meetings too, whether y'all are expressive about it or not. You're seeing, well, man, Joe didn't show up as his usual, happy go lucky self today, or Sandy didn't show up, really exuberant, So we're noticing that people are not always in their right emotional state, yet we never really take the time to express it. And so, what I really encourage for success in the future, particularly in business, is the fullest expression, of course, within reason, of your emotions. And the more that you can do that, the more intelligent you can be at expressing them. Of course, you have to practice. So you have to just start where you are. If it comes out messy, it comes out messy. Trust me, we've all been there. Yet, the more you're able to refine that expression of emotion, the more you're able to also tune into that intuitive nature aspect of yourself that really starts to make, you know, always the right decision. Always the right decision. Can you believe that? You can always make the right decisions when you're following your intuitive compass, when you're and following your intuitive guidance system, because this is the path that's aligned for you. And so that actually kind of moves us very well into the third piece, which is around focus. So I know oftentimes as a woman, we are amazing multitaskers. And some men out there too, man, the man out there too can be a good multitasker. And what I really am seeing moving into the future is being able to be more refined in our ability to focus, even if it's just on one thing at one time. If we're with the kids in the kitchen, if we're cooking and da 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 da, so many things are moving at one time. As long as we're focused on our task at hand, that thing will get accomplished 100%. And this also speaks back to the emotions and the intuition around the vision. And this is the work that I really lift up a lot in the meta business world as our vision and values, our strategy. And our strategy is firmly centered around having a clear vision, clear focus on the direction that you're going. And of course, bringing in my own personal experience in this season, I did a beautiful ski trip last week with my son and I posted about it. We went to Vail, Colorado. Like it was amazing. It was challenging. It was hard. It was scary, skiing, like all of these, emotions that I was feeling. Yet the focus and the intent of the trip was to build and cultivate a tighter bond with my son, period. And so this is what I mean about all the multitasking and having to really deal with a lot of things at once, a lot of tasks, activities, emotions at once. When the vision is really clear, and for me, the vision was okay, at all costs, I got to keep my energy up for my son. Even when I want to, like, curse him out or slap him up, but whatever it is that you feel as a parent in your mind, because that's how we were treated, like to be 100% real, and that really doesn't work well for this generation, this younger, newer generation. My son's 4 years old. Um, and nor do I even want to be that kind of parent to him. I really want to be a conscious parent with him and consciously discipline him. Then that's my focus at the end of the day. Every interaction is really building towards that. And that's kind of the example that I'm using for this focus piece, as we as women, or as the woman, or as the man, really embodying the feminine energy, want to be able to move forward and be successful in the future, is having the ability to be disciplined in your focus and disciplined in your vision. And the reason why I come back to this piece for the meta business world is because obviously this is one of our offerings, the vision and values meta strategy work. And it deeply is resonant in the success of the organization and the success of the individuals participating in the organization. Because when you are able to sit in that focus, in that clarity, and then being able to communicate it, whether it's to your child, like the example that I gave, or to your team members, to your colleagues, to your peers, then that enables a really, I would say, efficiently operating, openly operating, transparently operating organization. And I know this to be true because of my own experience with working in an organization where the vision is just so abundantly clear, the values are so abundantly clear, and we come back to them every meeting, we come back to them every conversation. And it makes the road path ahead so much more smooth, if you will, smooth and direct. So that essentially is the acceleration of time, that my gift, if you will, of collapsing time for teams and for individuals. Because when that vision is clear, when that vision is of the highest order, then you can get there so quickly and you can get there with ease. With ease. And the ease piece comes back into the other two aspects that I was speaking to, the emotional intelligence, understanding that when you're feeling frustrated, For example, like I mentioned on my ski trip, I'm feeling frustrated. I'm tired. I had to hike 200 meters up a mountain because my skis broke. Yet at the end of the day, what did I come to this trip for? Oh, wait, it wasn't even about me. It was about cultivating this creation and this new relationship or this higher relationship with my son. Same in business. Oh my God, I'm frustrated. We're getting so much work thrown on our plates, where, such and such didn't even show up. She's out sick and I'm having to shoulder all this burden for my work. But let me think back to the vision. What's the vision of this organization? Well, our vision is to create innovative services and products so that people can have easier lives in their healing process. And if it's a medical company, for example. Like, this is the vision of the organization. Let me stay focused on what I'm actually doing. I shouldn't be so emotionally connected and burdened by what's happening in my day to day when I'm thinking about the ultimate vision for the organization. This is helping us. How is this helping us get to the ultimate vision? Because that can help you decide, actually, do I even need to be putting my energy here? Is this wasted energy? Should I be, considering other tasks or other activities that really are going to help arc towards our vision as an organization or as a team? And so when we're thinking about the focus essentially differentiates us from everyone else. Because generally, most people's day to day is just task oriented, task driven, and goals kind of fall to the wayside. I mean, yeah, we have these monetary things that we want to reach, but what fundamentally is the vision of the work? And that's where the focus is super, super imperative. And getting back to that first aspect, the intuition, this can help also cultivate a really high vision. Because when you're tapped into your intuition, and we can start getting more into metaphysics of things, the intuition essentially is the third eye, the first eye that I like to call what we see with our first eye. And so when we're really tapped into that intuition, we're really able to see far beyond what the day to day is. And this is the piece that also supports us in managing our emotions. Because when we're able to see exactly where we're going, the intuitive aspect of ourselves, the first eye, the pineal gland in our brain, when we're meditating, that's essentially what we're activating, what we're opening up is that pineal aspect of ourselves, the organ in our brain that's really focused on directing our path, connecting us to the energetic source of all creation. That's our intuition at the end of the day. And I want to always continue to go back to the metaphysics, even if it feels like it may be too obscure or it doesn't feel like, oh, I even know what this is. Pineal gland, I never heard of this before. These are just seeds that are being planted for you. Don't worry about if you're receiving it all right now, or if it makes sense, or if it's familiar, if it's not familiar. Just start to receive it as it is for you, as food. And you can choose to digest it, or you can choose not to. You do what you wish with it. Yet this is information that's really important for us all to start to begin to digest, if you will. And so when we're thinking about our intuition, we're thinking about literally the gland in the middle of our brain, the pineal gland, and we're sitting with it. It's genuinely cultivated through and only through meditation. Meditation, being still with ourselves, going within, and it's essentially connected to, all of our energy centers, of course. Yet it's very, very critical in being able to see and imagine a higher life for yourself. This is essentially when we're talking about dreams or daydreaming. This is that broadcast channel, is the pineal gland that sees the most wondrous things for you, can imagine the most wondrous life for you. And that essentially, starts to cultivate that intuition aspect of you when you're starting to see things and experience things intuitively because wow, this is aligned with me. And the more you get to know you through that meditation, through interaction with other people, knowing what you like, what you don't like, and essentially setting those boundaries, it even more cultivates that intuition. What's good for me, what's not good for me. And feeding that information also to the universe around you so you can get more of those things that you like and less of those things that you don't like. And to be honest, this process can be a lifelong journey, of course. And at the same time, it can come with its challenges because things and experiences can be removed from your life that you thought were going to be there forever. Also, surprises can come into your life that you just didn't expect you'd be having to deal with, lessons that you need to learn. And this all connects to your intuition. This all connects to that pineal energy, that first eye center of being able to see what's right for you. And of course, on that second piece, I was talking about having the emotional intelligence to manage that which your intuition called forth for you. And this is how we move into being successful for the future is understanding how these two things, how these three things work together: the intuition, the emotions, and then the focus. So as we start to bring that emotional aspect into ourselves, like when we're experiencing all these new experiences or experiences are being removed from our lives, how are we reacting? How are we responding, rather? That's the better word. How do we emotionally respond? Are we responding with acceptance? Okay, God, okay, universe, okay, this is just what it is. And I just have to accept it for what it is and deal with the emotions that I feel around it. Because we don't want to practice avoidance. We don't want to deny either that which we feel. And this is what makes us successful moving into the future. Because think about it in the past. If someone made us mad, or if we lost something, or someone, get over it, move on, and we're off to the next thing. And then we're oftentimes using suppressants to numb the pain, whether it be, prescription drugs or alcohol or marijuana, whatever it is. Like, just be real, like these were old practices that we embodied, engaged to really suppress that which we felt. Yet this will not support us in being successful into the future. We have to be able to feel all those icky feelings, all the anger, the anxiety, the upsetness, the betrayal, whatever the emotion is, in order to move through it and past it. So the emotional intelligence is key as we start to see a higher version of ourselves, or higher version for our organization, as a woman, as a man. Yet these are very, what I would like to call, feminine energetically aligned traits, if you will, that really support us in being successful, tapping into those emotions. And then, of course, that last piece, again, just to recap, is the focus. How focused are we on our highest mission and our highest vision? Are we allowing ourselves to be distracted by the emotions? Are we allowing ourselves to be distracted by the other dreams? Can we really stay focused on the highest one for ourselves? And in addition to, for example, the one I gave about the ski trip last week, for me, the highest vision for myself is my vision for my organization: to inspire, empower, to teach 700 enlightened business leaders around the world. I mean, it's definitely like a 10-year vision that I launched last year. And at the same time, it's just like, how do I stay focused on that? What am I doing in my day to day practice for my business to really be anchored in that truth for myself and for my organization? And this is something too that I have to always communicate with my team. Who are we? What's our focus here? Or we're the light bearers. We're the ones that really are showing the way. We're modeling that which we want other leaders to be. And so being able to be anchored in that focus is critical for success in the future. Knowing, first of all, what that vision is, articulating it very well. This is why we have a meta strategy, vision, and values. And also aligning your values to that vision. Like, what do you stand for? Is it truth? Is it honorable? Is it just? Is it right? Is it the betterment of the collective for everyone? Is it supporting everyone? These are the values that we must embody for success into the future. As a woman, especially, we are the way showers. We are the mothers. We are the first teachers. And I don't know if this is something that we acknowledge enough in our day-to-day life, is the influence that we have on generations, on nations, the woman. And that is her role as the creator, the creatrix, is to teach. And in many ways, we can take responsibility when our children or our nations don't learn well or learn wrong or misinformed or miseducated. We are the first teachers. So, in order to be the best teacher as a woman, we have to know and embody these principles to the fullest. These principles of love, highest of love, of nurturing, of support, of understanding, of acceptance, of willingness, of courage. All of these higher principles we as women must embody to be successful now and especially to be successful into the future. And this really should be our focus. Are we working on ourselves? And I just want to put that encouragement out into the field, into the collective. Like, if we should be focusing on anything for that third piece, we should be focusing on how we can be the best version of ourselves, the highest version of ourselves. And I feel like this is coming to a nice close here. And I really feel like it touched a lot of souls out there who are really calling forth this information around how we can really embody the principles of love, of acceptance, of truth, of righteousness as woman, as man, moving into the future, being focused in that and using our emotions to really guide us into how we can continue to move past anything that no longer serves us. And then, of course, using our intuition to make the right choices, always the right choices for ourselves. So, again, if this deeply resonates with you, drop a comment, share this episode with a friend. Of course, you can catch this episode and more on my website, www.erinpatten.com. I'm across all social media channels at I am Erin Patten. Of course, the Meta Business Millennial podcast also has its channel. So I love you so much. I'm so grateful that you all tune in. You stayed with me to the end of the episode. And until next episode, much love and light to you all. Peace. Happy Women's Month. Did you really love this episode of the Meta Business Millennial podcast? Well, I am honored, and I appreciate you subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends, because your feedback allows us to co-create more enlightened conversations. And if you're interested in growing your soul now, head over to my website, erinpatten.com, to find all the show notes, links, and free resources to get your energy activated today. In the meantime, stay bright, my friends. Much love and light. Peace.